Well, I'm down where this new bridge has been built in Causeway in East Perth, and have a look at the detour signage here, the size of this stuff. Just here in the camera. That's 4 times the size of what they've been using in Fremantle. Now, obviously, I guess a different traffic control company, that's JAG, whoever they are, but they've put in some really good signs, and notice it's down at ground level. Here's another one coming around the corner. Just exactly the same as what's used for vehicle detours. So nice big symbols there for pedestrians and cyclists. Huge arrow. That arrow alone is bigger than the signs that are used on the Beach Street detour. Now, there's another one coming up here. It's probably now about 50 metres away. There's a pole in the way, and it's clearly visible even from that distance because it's massive. Still a sign off to the side there. That's easily readable from a distance as well, so it's huge. Right, let's see what we've got up ahead of us. Now, from here it's probably about 100 metres to the next intersection, and I can already see that sign telling me to turn right. This to me is an example of good signage, whereas the Beach Street stuff is an example of not very good signage. You know, plenty of it, but it's invisible. So let's just continue on this detour right to the end. Flat tire, look, okay, another intermediate sign, now about 50 metres away. Very clearly visible. In fact, that's probably visible back there from where I turned that corner. Well, I wasn't particularly looking for it. And then there's a truck crossing sign. Again, clearly visible, but we know there's to expect traffic possibly going back and forth across here. Look both ways. The boom gate's down, that's alright. That's well set up, and the signage going back in the opposite direction is like that. So I don't understand why at something like Beach Street, why that kind of signage has not been used and is not considered for those types of projects. Because if that was used, that detour would probably be a hell of a lot smoother. Oh yeah, there's one other thing I thought of. Now, the reason I do this talking to my phone is so you're getting a contemporaneous set of notes, essentially, from what I'm seeing as I see it. I don't go and shoot some video, then go back to the studio and think about it and analyse what I saw and put that up. What you're getting is a real-time view of what I can see, what I'm looking for, perhaps what I can't see. And so I think it is important to record those kind of notes as you go. It's not that hard to do. All I've got here is an iPhone with a quad lock on the handlebars. You know, everyone's got a phone these days. Quad lock was what, $50 or something like that. Now, I have gone and spent good money on a fancy wireless microphone, but that's really not necessary. You could do this with a cheaper one with a little mouse fur on it to block the wind. I did it just because I got sick of the cables getting tangled up between here and the phone every time I got on and off the bike. Yeah, I think it's important that you get your thoughts down straight away as you're seeing it, because I think once you've been through once and you kind of, again, trained your brain on what's on the site, when you go back a second time, you're very likely to forget what it was like the first time through. So, yeah, get used to talking to the camera. And another lesson in summary is you've got to do those things. You've got to do a review on a bike for something like that. And as I said during one of those parts, partly it's because of the speed you're going. So at the moment I'm going about 4 times faster than I walk. So I've got a quarter of the amount of time to process anything that I see visually. You've got to make decisions quickly, and information needs to be provided to you, well, 4 times earlier than it would be if you're walking. The problem, I think, with the audits that the traffic coordinator or traffic managers do is they walk them at very low speed with a set of plans, probably going 1/10 the speed I'm going now, and they know what to look for. And so the signage seems to be very obvious, blatant and in your face. But you hop on a bike, ride through, without knowing what to look for, it's certainly not blatant in your face at all. Now the other thing, when I was doing part 2, and I was riding on the footpath past the Beach Street Cafe, the footpath was very crowded with parked cars, pot plants, signage, poles that have signs on them, all sorts of stuff. And so where do you think I'm looking when I'm riding through something like that? I'm looking down there, 6 or 10 feet in front of my front wheel to find a path through all that garbage on the path. Now maybe when people came along and did the audit, cafe was closed, no one was parked there, they didn't see all that stuff. So they wouldn't have this idea that a cyclist is very, very distracted by what's down there in front of them, and they don't have time to look up there to find your signs. It's another important reason why you don't put signs up high, because you're spending all that time looking down there at all the hazards on the path. Because you don't want to run into one. So what happens if you do that? You fall over, crash, and break your collarbone or break your wrist or something. The consequences can be quite horrible. So therefore, cyclists spend a lot of time paying very close attention to what's on the ground in front of them, not what's up in the sky. Right, nice driver letting me through there. Yeah, anyway, so there can be a lot of stuff you have to take on board as a cyclist, visually and mentally and all the rest of it. And depending on where you are, you might be riding on the road. You've got to worry about, I'm going past parked cars. Oh, is someone going to door me? So I'm looking in the cars to see if there's a passenger or a driver. It's about to open the door. I'm worried about drivers coming up behind me, whether they're going to give me space. If I have to turn right, I'm doing this. I'm looking over my shoulder to see if it's clear behind me. How am I supposed to be looking up at the sky for signage when you've got all this other stuff going on, in your life? And it's why I think it's just so easy to miss signage. Oh yeah, and so for that reason, using pavement markings can be a very good idea. Now, that detour is going to be there April, May, June, July, August. All right, 5 months. Get the spray paint out, or the pavement marking paint, whatever the hell it is, get the stencils out, put some arrows and some bike symbols on the road, on the path, wherever, to back up the signage that's on the poles. And then go back and audit it and make sure it's clear, it's visible, and it makes sense to cyclists. And, good to say, do that audit on a bicycle. So you're approaching that signage at 20 or 25 kilometres an hour, those pavement markings, and you can see them. And if you can't, well, you know what? Better go redo them. And then, of course, that then becomes something else that just needs to be maintained for the life of the project. If those pavement markings get worn or scuffed or whatever, they might need to be redone. So, yeah, that's another lesson to think about.